Okay, well, the soils pattern in the Herbert River district is quite a complex one, but typical of an alluvial floodplain. The Herbert River rises on the Atherton tablelands, comes down into the Herbert Valley and follows this path out to the sea, and you can see that along either side of the river are these pinkish coloured soils, which are alluvial soils, fairly coarse in texture. That's because when the river is in flood, the coarser particles, the larger particles, drop first, and the finer particles are taken further away from the river. Now, in major floods like the 1967-77 floods, a large part of this floodplain was inundated with water, and the water hangs around for quite a few days following a flood event. It's interesting in that the course of the Herbert River has changed quite markedly over time. It used to come out to the sea right down here, and you can see the inlet here, and then it came through this channel here, came out to the sea here, and then later on following other channels, many of which are still evident in the landscape. A major estuary was here at Taylor's Beach, and the river used to come out here, and a number of times in more recent years it's tried to cut a straight course through here, but hasn't managed it. So the current mouth of the Herbert and the Seymour rivers is close to Hinchinbrook Island, and you're getting heaps of sediment being brought down the river, and I think it's quite conceivable that over the next few hundred years the coastline is going to creep further and further out towards Hinchinbrook Island, and a distinct possibility that that island might get joined eventually to the mainland. So with those changes in channel, you can see that the river's moving north, and that's because the main movement of beach material also occurs in that northern direction. You're getting a lot of sediment coming up from the Burdekin and being moved up the beach, and it's also interesting to look at these yellow coloured soils, which are the old beech ridges, which mark the course of a previous coastline. So the coastline used to run round here, and so all this extra land has been derived from the alluvium that's been brought down the river. Now, to explain what these different soils are, these green ones are the mangroves, which are fairly continuous right through, so mangroves and like Melaleuca swamps. I've said before the the pinker soils are alluvial soils, and the blue soils are heavier textured clay soils. The mountains, or the hills surrounding the Herbert Valley, have got a variety of parent materials. These hills around here, around the Seymour and Hawkins Creek area, have a predominantly acid volcanic parent material, whereas most of the other hills coming around here are granitic. So you tend to get finer textured soils in the Seymour and Hawkins Creek, and coarser textured soils through here. And so as the hills come down, there's like a hill slope deposit of material, some of which are used for growing cane. Now, in terms of productivity, the most productive soils are on the most recent floodplains, so this darker pink colour right through here. These river flats are the most productive soils in the district, but they have the disadvantage of being inundated in a flood event, which I suppose major floods have occurred around about every 10 to 15 years. Now, coming back to the movement of sediment from the river, I said before that the coarser material is deposited first, and as you get further away, the sediments are finer and finer in texture. So you get areas of heavier clay, particularly around these blue patches, which also have poor drainage. So you get black organic clays occurring in these depressions, which represent the lowest parts in the landscape.